The Last Betrayal of Julius Caesar. The Echo of Daggers. I remember the Ides of March, not for its blood, but for its silence. The kind of silence that descends when the gods turn their faces, when fate holds its breath before striking. I stood in the shadows of the Senate Hall, my hands damp, my voice hoarse from warnings no one heeded. They called me paranoid, a loyal fool, too close to the dictator to see his faults. But I saw more clearly than any of them. I saw betrayal in Brutus' clenched jaw, in Cassius's restless fingers. I saw the way Rome looked at Caesar, with awe and fear. And when they struck him one by one, I did not cry out. I watched, because I had a different purpose. Part 1. Before the fall, Caesar trusted many, but he listened to few. I was one of the few. Lucius Septimus, son of a disgraced senator, war veteran, and a shadow in court. I walked 2 steps behind him always. I held his scrolls, silenced dissenters, and gathered whispers from the streets. I told him what the augurs would not, that Rome was rotting from within, that men who once called him Father of the Republic now sharpened their daggers behind columns of marble. But Caesar laughed. "They will not kill me, Lucius," he said one night, wine dark in his cup. "Not because they love me, but because they fear what comes after." I wanted to believe him. Part 2. The warning ignored. It was Calpurnia who first begged him not to go. That morning, her screams pierced the marble halls. She dreamt of blood on his robes, of 1,000 daggers singing. I added my voice. "Julius, stay! Delay the Senate. Postpone." He raised a hand. "If I am to fall, it will not be because I cowered in my bed." He went. I followed, not as a guard that day, but as a shadow. I was not allowed inside the Senate Hall. None of Caesar's closest were. That was the first sign. When the doors closed behind him, I felt the breath of death in the air. It was only minutes before I heard it. Screams, then silence, and then the doors opened. Brutus stood among them, blood on his tunic, face as pale as parchment. Part 3. The Broken Republic. The streets of Rome boiled with rage and fear. Some called for vengeance, others for order. And I hunted. I slipped into alleys, taverns, whore houses, temples. I listened. I watched. And one by one, I made a list. Cassius, Casca, Decimus, Trebonius, Brutus. The worst of them all. But I was no soldier anymore. I was a ghost, forgotten, stripped of title, branded a madman for shouting of betrayal in a city that had already moved on. Mark Antony gathered Caesar's loyalists. He stirred the people with fire and words, but he played politics. I had no such patience. I wanted justice. My way. Part 4. A knife for each. The first to fall was Casca. He was drunk, loud in a brothel, boasting of how he struck the first blow. I slit his throat in the latrine. No ceremony, just silence. Then came Trebonius, suffocated in his villa, a note pinned to his chest. "Et tu?" One by one they vanished. Whispers of a vengeful spirit spread. Some said it was Caesar's ghost. I did not correct them. Only Brutus and Cassius remained. They had fled, raising armies in the east, preparing for war. Antony and Octavian prepared theirs. Rome was to be drowned in blood once more. Part 5. The Final Confrontation. I joined the army as a nameless centurion under Antony. War granted anonymity. The Battle of Philippi was chaos, steel and fire and screams. I hunted through the fog of war until I saw him, Brutus. He was kneeling beside a dying soldier, his sword slick with blood, eyes wild with loss. I approached. He looked up and knew me instantly. "Lucius," he said, not with fear, but sadness. "You could have stopped it," I said. "So could you." I tried, and I believed he was the tyrant Rome feared. We stared. Then he drove his own blade into his chest, A final betrayal. Of me. Of Caesar. Of himself. Epilogue. Rome remembers poorly. Rome crowned Octavian as Augustus. Peace returned, they said, but statues can lie. Streets were renamed, faces erased, truth rewritten. Lucius Septimus was forgotten. No songs, no busts. But I remember, and in the quiet corners of Rome, when wind howls like whispers, I hear his voice still. They will not kill me, Lucius. But they did. And I, too late, became what I always feared, a man with no purpose but vengeance, not a hero, not even a villain, just the last loyal Roman.